Hi everyone, Leah here from EurekaCrystalBeads.com with another fun beading video for you. Before I get started, just a quick reminder to go check out the rest of our channel, and if you like what you see, hit the subscribe button and notification bell and you'll always know when we're posting new content. So today what I have for you is another fun earring design. I call this my crystal compass earrings, and what's sort of fun about it is it ends up taking on a little bit of a domed appearance, so that's kind of cool. It's got a little bit of dimension to it, and it utilizes size 8 seed beads, size 15, size 11s, iris duos, and some 4mm crystals. So I'm going to show you up close those items so you can see the colors I used, and we'll also link you below to these exact colors as well. So as you can see, I have a size 8. This is a Toho seed bead. I have a Toho 15. My Yuki would work fine for this as well. I actually am in love with this particular size 8. It's like a blue, green, purple. It's really, really stunning, and it's matte on top of that. So I'm really a big fan of that one. And then in this tray, I have some of my gold, a matte gold iris duo. I have some 4mm bicones in Aurum, and then I have some size 11 seed beads as well. So this is what you would need for one half of a pair, because I have the other half right here. So for example, for a total pair, you would need 8 of the iris duos. You'd need 8 of the crystals. So I just have here what I need for the other half. Okay, so I have here 2.5 feet of 6-pound fire line, and I have it threaded onto a size 12 needle. And you'll have a little bit left over from this, but you always want to have a little more than you think you need. So what I'm going to do is get some of my beads dumped out here. Obviously, you'll need a pair of ear wires as well. I know I forgot to mention those. Okay, we're going to start off by picking up 4 of our size 8 seed beads. I'm going to bring them to within a few inches of the end. Leave a tail that's long enough that you can stick a needle on it later and weave it back in. And I'm going to sew back through all 4 of those size 8s. And I'm going to close them up into a little circle. Just like that. And it may not look absolutely perfect. That's okay. It will eventually. Now we're going to take our tail and our working thread, and we're going to tie them in a square knot. So if you're not familiar, a square knot's like a double knot, but the second knot is backwards. So the first knot is right over left. You do the second knot left over right. This is a little more secure than a double knot. Okay. And then I'm just going to go ahead and use my fingers just to pop those beads into place so they're sitting nicely going out in either direction, very similar to a compass, hence this project's name. So that's what we have there. Now I'm just going to get this tail out of the way. Now I'm going to sew through the next size 8 only because I don't like to start any project while I'm just coming off of a knot. I always like to start a project or start the next step of the project while I'm coming out of a bead. Now that we have our first little circle here, we're going to start the next step, which is going to be picking up a single size 8 seed bead, and I'm going to go through the next bead in my little ring here. And then I'm going to repeat that 3 more times. So we'll just do that all the way around the circle. Pick up a size 8, go through a size 8. Pick up a size 8, go through a size 8. Pick up a size 8, go through a size 8, and then we're going to do a step up. So that step up, here's the size 8 we would go through. The step up is going through as well the first size 8 that we added for this step. So you'll go through 2 right there at the end. This is what we get here. I'll give you plenty of nice good close-ups. That's what we have. Okay, now the next step is, so the beads that we just added in this step, the ones that are kind of popping out at the points, we're going to be utilizing those now. So we're going to be going in and out of those corner beads we just added. But now we're going to pick up 2 size 8s at a time. So I'll pick up my 2 size 8s here. I'll go through that next popped up size 8 from the size 8 that we added in the previous step. And you'll see that the 2 I added, they tend to sit at a little bit of a V right here. That's totally fine. That's exactly what we want to see. So I'll pick up 2 more, go through the next popped up size 8. Just keep turning your beadwork. Keep that tail out of the way. Pick up 2 more, go through the next one. And pick up 2 more and go through the next one. Now, normally this is where we would do a step up. So we would go through the size 8 and then we'd go through the one right above it. Now, we're gonna do one more little step before we do that though. We're gonna do some surface embellishments on the front of the earring. So I'm actually only going to go through the one that I would typically go through to finish off this step, and I'm not going to do the step up, which is the bead right above it. We'll come back to that bead. Once we, before we start the next step after these embellishments, this will be the bead we want to come out of, but for now we're going to come back to it later. So I'll pick up those 2, no step up, just go through the regular seed bead. And now I'm going to pick up 3 size 15s, and I'm going to hop across and go through the size 8 that's on the other side of the 2 that are sitting at a V. So the equivalent of the one we're coming up from now, just on the other side. And this will give us a cute little surface embellishment that we'll do all the way around. So again, just keep turning your beadwork. I'm going to pick up 3 15s. Again, look at the size 8 that you're coming out of, and go down the one that's on the opposite side after the 2 size 8s that are sitting at a V. So that'll be this one here. We're going to do that 2 more times to go all the way around. Give you another nice good close-up. Okay, so you can see the one we're coming out of. We picked up 3 15s, and now we're going down the one that's just right on the other side of it. Okay, we'll do that one more time. 3 15s. Now, this is where we're going to go back to that step up that we wanted to do earlier. So we're going to go up the bead that we would normally go through to end up in this little step, but then now we're going to step up through that top size 8. So the size 8 that is on the right side of that little V. Just like that. So that's where you want to be coming out of. Okay, so now we have this sort of little, if you can imagine a compass, we have these bits on the top, the bottom, the right, and the left. So they're, you know, north, south, east, and west. So the way I find it comfortable to hold is this is my working thread here, and so it's coming out from the east side. And now we're going to have 2 different types of embellishments that are going to go around, and they'll alternate. The first one is going to be with a crystal. So I'm going to pick up a size 11 4mm crystal and 3 size 15s. And the size 15s are going to create what's called a picot on top of the crystal. And if you're not sure what a picot is, it's spelled P-I-C-O-T. And it's a little group of 3 seed beads that are going to form a pretty little triangle on the top of a bead or the end of a fringe. And it's just a little bit of a fancier way to do it rather than a single seed bead as the bead that will keep the beads from coming off. Slide them down. So I'm going to go back down. I'm going to ignore those 3 seed beads that I added on the end. I'm going to go back down through the crystal, and I'm going to go back down through the 11, and then down the size 8. That's the other half of the V. And sometimes you might have to pop that little picot into place. There we go, and I'll give you a nice good close-up. That's what we get. And now is the other type of embellishment, and again, they're going to alternate. And this next type is just going to be going through the bottom hole of an iris duo. And then go through the next right side of the next V. And this may not want to sit in there perfectly for now. It might want to sit a little wonky, but that's okay. The beadwork that's going to come later is going to help to keep it nice and straightened out. So all you want to do is just do your best to just kind of get it nice and centered there. And that's what you want to see. Give you a nice, good close-up. That's what you want to see. And even though you will see right now a little bit of thread on either side of the bottom hole of that iris duo, once our earring domes up, that's all going to tighten up and you're not going to see that. So now we are back to the first type of embellishment, which is the crystal embellishment. So size 11, crystal, 3/15s, slide your beads down, go back down through the crystal and the size 11 and go down the other half of the V. And then just, sometimes you have to pop that little picot into place. Okay. And now it's time for another iris duo. Go through that bottom hole, go through the right side of the next V. And again, just kind of center it and position it in there as best you can. It'll all tighten up a little later. One more crystal embellishment, 11 crystal and 3 size 15s. Back down through the crystal and the 11, and then the other half of our little V. Pop your picot. It's very common that it needs to happen. All right, now one more iris duo. Go through the first bead of the next V. Now we're back to crystal embellishment, which again is an 11 4mm bicone, 3/15s. Bring it down. Back down through the crystal and the 11, through the other half of the V. Pop your picot if you have to, and then one more iris duo. Now, after I put this iris duo in, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the first size 8 of that next V, which is the first one that we embellish off of, and then I'm going to travel up that embellishment. So I'm going to go up the size 11, up the crystal, and then up into the picot, and I want to be coming out of the middle bead of that picot. So just so you're aware ahead of time where our goal is going to be. So we'll get that iris duo sitting in there. And now we're going to travel up. That got me through the first of the 15s. Now I just have to go through the one in the center. Just like that. So this is the start of, you can see our nice little compass. We have north, south, east, and west. We even have our middle directionals, northwest and southeast, and it's actually even just lovely like this on its own. This would be a very pretty little component, but we really want to get those iris duos a little more firmly in place. So now is going to be our outer embellishments. So that's going to be all of this around here, and when we pull it tight, that's what's going to give us that nice little domed look. So make sure that you're holding your beadwork so that way your thread is coming out of your 15 in the direction that you're comfortable holding, because this is the direction that we're going to turn. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up 2 15s, an 11, and an 8, and I'm going to go through the top hole of the next iris duo. Now I'm going to pick up those same beads but in the opposite order, so the 8, the 11, and then 2 15s, and I'm going to go through the tip of the next picot. So you can see that embellishment starting to form. So I'm just going to go all the way around And I will see you back here in a minute after I've just repeated that all the way around. Okay, so now we are back and I've almost completed all the way around. I have my beads loaded to finish it up. So I'm going to go through that top bead in the picot, which is where this line of embellishment started. And what's going to happen is as I pull, you can see how it's going to dome up. I pulled it nice and tight and it becomes a neat little dome. Now to keep that domed up and to keep it more solid, we're going to travel through all of this all over again. So I'm going to go ahead and just travel that thread path again, and I'll see you back here in a minute. Okay, so I have gone around again, which helps to keep that dome shape there because it's going to keep that line of seed beads a bit tighter. And where I've ended is in that outer ring, we have those little groups of 15s. Well, the middle one is the middle bead of the picot. So that's where we want to stop after having gone through that. Now we're going to do our loop, and it's going to be a little more decorative, and it's going to be the loop that our ear wire will be attached to. So I'm going to start by picking up 3 more 15s, and I'm going to loop back around and through the 15 I'm coming out of. And again, that 15 is the tip of the picot. And I'll give you a nice good close-up. Okay, and that's going to give us a pretty little right angle weave unit here. And now I'm going to go through the first 2 beads in that unit. So essentially that'll have me coming out of the tip of that little unit there. Now I'm going to pick up 4 size 11 seed beads. And I'm going to loop back around and go through the 15 that I'm coming out of, the very, very tip of what we just created. And I'm going to go through the first of the 4 11s that we picked up. It's okay if it looks a little bit loose right now. Okay, I'm going to pick up a 15, go through the next 11, and then pick up a 15 and go through the next 11, and then pick up a 15 and go through the next 11. Okay, I'm going to show you what that looks like. Get that lovely little decorative loop, which I just love doing. Now is the easy part. We're going to cross through the 15 that's at the base of that little decorative loop. It was that middle bead that we were coming out of before we picked up the 4 11s. And now we're just going to head back down into our beadwork because now it's just a matter of knotting, making some half-hitch knots to weave out our thread. I find it easiest to do this along this outer ring. Wherever you'd like is certainly fine. We just catch our needle behind the thread path that's in between the beads you're coming out of. Pull it down, go through the loop, and that forms a half-hitch knot. We're going to go through a few more beads, and we're going to do that again. Go underneath the thread, go through the loop, and then just carefully pull it down so your knot closes in the exact spot where your working thread was coming out of your beadwork. If it doesn't close down in that exact spot, sometimes it has a tendency to hop over a bead or two. You'll end up seeing thread on the outside of your beads, and you don't want to see that, of course. So I went through another few beads. Now I'm going to do another half-hitch knot. I'm going to do another few beads. And this is I think, a really good place to do the knots because, if anything, it's just going to help you keep that outer beaded rim nice and tight, which helps us keep that dome shape. Okay, so I've done a few knots. I'm going to travel a bit more. You never want to cut right after doing a knot. Make sure to always travel a little bit more. And I also, in the little camera break, I wove out my tail as well, and I did it the same exact way, just weaving it through the beadwork, tying a few half-hitch knots. So the last thing to do is just put our ear wires on. So I have my chain nose pliers here. I'm going to go to my little ear wires, swivel that loop open to the side, Stick it through that pretty little decorative loop we just made and close it. And I'm going to give you a nice, good close-up of our earrings here. Super adorable. Again, a lovely dome shape, so it's a nice dimensional earring. Lots of beautiful colors you could do this with. The iris duos are a lot of fun. You could definitely play around with doing this with diamond duos or gem duos. I'm sure they would be very interchangeable. We have a lot of colors of all of them. Same thing with the crystals, so you can have endless options here. So that's it, folks. That wraps it up. Thanks for watching, and make sure to check out all the materials we used in the video. Again, we're going to link them to you below. You can head on over to EurekaCrystalBeads.com, and hopefully we can help you out with all your beading needs. Bye, guys.